Hello, fellow mellow gamers. It is Ford and HP here with your weekly gaming wreckage and as damage check. You know what? We haven't been here in a couple weeks, so I want to start by just saying, Ford, how the heck are you, dude? I missed you. Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I am looking right now, and I don't think that my Discord is coming through. Sirens, can you give me a test real quick? This is super unprofessional, but we've been out for 2 weeks. I don't know why Discord wouldn't be showing here. Can't hear Ford. Why? Hold on, there's no reason. There's I genuinely have no clue why it just stopped working. I'm looking through everything. Yeah, there's one moment. Can you give me a test? No, it's still not working. I'll do desktop audio, I guess, for this. All right, well, we'll just go through desktop audio and let that work itself out.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's good. It doesn't sound like poopy. So anyway, let's start over here. Ford, how are you? I missed you, buddy.
I missed you too, bud. Yeah. Basically missed a little bit of time because of a whole bunch of medical issues. So if you see me wincing pain, I am okay. I'm just working on passing some kidney stone fragments. So a little bit of pain, but we're doing all right. How have you been, HP?
I've been pretty good since I've been taking off. If people know on the actual HP channel, I've been not around, and I apologize for that. But I'm doing some self-reflecting, some me time, some own mental healing, and to be honest, physical healing. Because I told you before a couple weeks ago that I was having some bad issues with like chest pains and stuff like that, and maybe it was anxiety. Who knows? But since I've kind of chilled out and just done my own thing for the past few weeks, I've been feeling pretty good.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're starting to feel a little bit better. I hope I join you on that track here pretty soon as well. But it's been good that you've been getting a lot of that physical and mental rest. You know, sometimes we need that.
Right.
I definitely feel that right now too. So. But more importantly, HP, maybe not more importantly, that's probably the wrong way to phrase that. But what have you been playing? I have seen that you have been playing some of that Rainbow Six Siege you always talk about. So why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
I got a little excited recently just because I have a group of friends. There's like 20 of us, and like maybe one or two will play here and there. But then there was like an interest of like 4 or 5, and then a couple new people that I just kind of met along this journey. And I just love that game so much. I'll play it with anybody. And so we had a group get together and had some great wins, had some great losses. The game is ever changing. I wouldn't say changing. The meta is kind of ever shifting, but ultimately it's the same game, just getting better. And I love that game so much. I think it's probably, and I know it's blasphemous to say, it's probably one of my favorite shooters of all time. I think that Halo is still probably that Halo 3 specifically is probably that, but it is a close second because that game is so unique. There's not another one like it. There really isn't. So I've been having a blast playing that.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I know you always talked about wishing you could play it more often. So I'm glad you're able to get a crew together to get some more games in on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Has it changed a lot since you last played it? Or do you feel like you could still kind of get in and you can still kind of do what you were
No,
doing
you're.
before.
It's still. Yeah, there might be some meta shift because there's like new operators. Same with League of Legends, where it's like, oh, you can't really do that because this new champion stops you from doing that. But you could still ultimately do it if he's either not in the game or what. So it's the same concept. Like the new operator might shake things up a bit, but never too earthquakey to just change the whole meta. But it might change a little bit. But ultimately, maybe a new map here or there. But sight lines are typically still the same. Meta still somewhat the same, so yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And what have you been
Anything
playing?
else you've been playing?
No,
Me?
I just went straight into Magic the Gathering and just like normal stuff. So, but yeah, what have you been playing?
Mine's been pretty normal too. I've still been playing tons of that Destiny 2. Just been loving that. Feel like I've been actually having a better time in Destiny 2 than I have in a really long time. Not that I've ever had really a bad time, but I don't know. This past March update they did made PvP feel pretty good. Kind of changed up a lot of the systems in pretty big ways to where it doesn't feel as terrible as it did before. So I've been playing a lot of that. Been working a lot of those high end, achievements and triumphs and stuff like that before Final Shape comes out. Like we did some of the flawlesses. I've actually got another flawless that we're doing tonight, which you might have seen me do on stream.
I did, and I was super proud of you. So congratulations, I want to say for that, and also super jealous. I love that concept of gaming. Like again, I know you've invited me here and there, but I think that just in general, seeing it happen, the will to do it, the want to do it, that type of stuff is like peak pinnacle gaming to me. Seriously,
Yeah, man.
Not just because it's difficult, but because it's like a collective group. Because already the Destiny raids are that, right? It's a collective group coming together, all brains working together to fix a problem or to solve a problem. And so you guys doing that, flawless. It is so cool.
Yep.
So definitely go check out my boy Fjord whenever he's streaming doing these things because it is insane.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic time. We're doing another one tonight, and we're going to keep going until we get them all done. And I feel pretty good. There's the only one that I'm still worried about is King's Fall. King's Fall is going to be the breaker, where it's such a long raid. It's not necessarily that there's like a lot that can kill you. There are definitely plenty of parts where you can die, but it's just such a long raid that if you fall at like say like Daughters, you've got so much raid to go back through.
Right.
That it's gonna be rough, but that's probably gonna be the last one we save to do. But other than that, I have been playing some Helldivers here and there. Still been having a great time with that. I have been loving the content rollout. It pretty much feels like almost every week there's something new in Helldivers. Even if it's just like small things here and there, it has given me a reason to log in every single week that the game has been out.
It's good to hear.
That has been fantastic. Yeah. And then I did start playing this one game with some of the Destiny people called Party Animals. I don't know if you've heard of this game before.
Well, I mean, we mentioned it because it was the big. It was in the Game Awards. It was nominated for like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did
family
talk about
games
it. Yep,
or party games, whatever. The
and
Nintendo category.
Yeah. Finally, the Nintendo category, exactly. I finally kind of went back to it and started playing a little bit more with a group of friends, and you know what? I think that's a really, really good game, man. I think that's honestly
I haven't played it yet, but I want
game.
to. It looks fantastic.
Fantastic game. It's got like plenty of reasons to keep coming back to it. It's just silly, goofy fun. It's basically just more violent Fall Guys, essentially, in a lot of ways.
Is it like is it kind of like Gang Beasts or more like Fall Guys?
More like Gang Beasts, but with the game setup of Fall Guys, where like Gang Beasts is always just about beating up the other person, whereas this has like objective game modes and everything as well. So it's like, you're trying to hit the ball into the net, you're trying to move this thing over to this thing. Like there's a lot of that. There is also just the beat the hell out of the person and get them out of the arena sort of thing as well. But it's got a good mix up of different objectives and mechanics within it. Right. But also with the Gang Beasts kind of feel of just beating the hell out of other people and the silly ragdoll physics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The last thing that I did play some of, I've actually been playing this for a little bit, but this is actually the first time I can talk about it, is a little game called Seekers of Skyvale. The NDA finally lifted on it, so I can finally talk about some of my experiences with it. And it is a pretty fun game. It is essentially a extraction looter game, but it is not a shooter. In fact, it is much more akin to like a MOBA, like League of Legends. So kind of top-down character. You know, you choose a hero character, or I guess they're called seekers, to drop into an extraction map, find different loot and everything, and then extract out your typical extraction gameplay loop, but in a more kind of like action MOBA skin in a way. I've been playing this for a couple months, actually, doing playtests here and there, and I've actually had a fantastic time with it, and I want to tell people about it. Just say, if you are interested in the extraction genre, or if you enjoy MOBAs, this is one I highly recommend checking out. You can sign up for playtests right now for it, and I think they're basically letting most everybody in right now to try it out. So
well, you piqued my interest. I've never even like seen this around, so I
haven't even told you about it because of the NDA. But yeah, this is it was a fun one. I've had a lot of great moments in it, and I've had a really good time. And it's also just kind of cool. You know, we're still in the infancy of the extraction genre.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's cool to see something that's not a shooter or even first person, right? Because we've seen things like the what was it, Dragonborn?
Well,
or
we also have or well, I guess it wasn't an extraction, it was more of a battle royale, but I was gonna say dude, it's so funny that I cannot think of the game. It's like when game company stop canceling games, guys, because when they start canceling games, I forget what they're called. It was basically like a little top-down MOBA. You WASD to move. Not top-down.
Thanks.
No, the other one. There's another one. I used to play with my friends. Battle Right, yes. And so they had the arena style down, and then they moved to battle royale, and then they kind of like ruined them for some reason. But it was a a MOBA take on a battle royale. So this is, you're saying, a MOBA take on kind of like the extraction genre.
Yes, 100%.
That's super interesting to me.
If you get tied up into one sentence, it is a MOBA take on the extraction genre.
Love that.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah, and I've honestly had a fantastic time with it. So Seekers of Skyvale is what it is called. You can find it on Steam, and you request access for it on Steam right now.
I'm doing that literally as we speak, so keep on going.
But yeah, highly recommend it to anybody who's even cursorily interested in something new in the MOBA space, or even something new in the extraction space. I also think the art design for it is awesome. And that is pretty much all I've really been playing. Haven't really picked up a ton of new stuff. I was going to pick up that Battlefront Classic Collection, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Yeah. And then it turned out that it was really, really bad port, and so I did not pick that up.
I feel like a lot of those Star Wars games aren't the best ports, typically.
Yeah, man, and I don't get how. It's like, it's a 20-year-old game. How is it this hard to port it?
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of times it's the controls, like the port itself might have some bugs here and there, but like obviously you got that with emulators and stuff, but I feel like they do controllers wrong, and it's like, well, we have a basic universal controller now. In terms of like, obviously the PlayStation controller and the Xbox controller are different beasts, but they essentially are the same thing. They have the same exact buttons, layout.
Yes.
And so like, get it together. Like there was a Star Wars Rogue Squadron game that I had ported, that was a port, and it wasn't a bad port, but I feel like it could have been better, because it was like, well, this was on N64 and now it's on on Steam. We don't know how to use our controls. It's like, what?
Yeah, man.
You have a better controller.
Which is weird, because literally 2 weeks before the Battlefront collection came out, I talked about the Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered came out. That runs great. That works great. Controls are awesome. Everything's fantastic. So I don't know what's going on with them.
They missed the mark.
But that's all I've been playing. So you want to get into these big topics that we want to chat about?
Yeah, I want to actually start off with something, a game that because we were talking about games that I've, because lately, and admittedly so on Damage Check, I'm a basic guy. I don't, and typically unless I stream the games, I don't delve into it too deep. So I can say for a fact, because I've been playing my Magics and I've been playing my Leagues and my Rainbows, but Sea of Thieves busted out a video this week that was the craziest update I've ever seen. If you're not into Sea of Thieves, now's the time to play. And if you are into Sea of Thieves, now's the time to come back, because this year is insane. I have never, so every time that there's a big update, I get super excited because I love this game so much. But this update might be their biggest one yet, and they probably say that for every update, but this is crazy. So this is the first time ever that they will be adding new weapons. So if you're unfamiliar with Sea of Thieves, it's baseline. Everyone is equal. There's no pay to win. There's no progression. The only progression is cosmetic. You good?
I lost you for a second, but
Okay.
I think you're back. Okay.
So so the only progression is cosmetic, and so there's never like an unfair advantage. It's literally the only advantage you can really get is by being in the game longer than someone else, and even then, there's so many ways to earn cannonballs, etc. So it doesn't really even do that. So this is the first time that they've ever added in weapons. So they're adding in like a double barrel flintlock to give a little bit of a mid range between the pistol and the shotgun, and so it's like so you can kind of either shoot 2 bullets at once or 1 and 1, and so they're adding that. They're adding a throwing knife that has 1 ammo, and you can go pick it up, which is interesting. You could also stab people with it, but it does a lot less damage than just your cutlass. And then for like ammunition and like inside of your by the way, fully recommend going on their channel and watching the 20-minute update video. I'm briefly grazing these, and I'm not doing any of them justice, but definitely go watch that trailer, that 20-minute teaser for what's coming this year, because it's incredible. But they're also adding like a scatter shot and a bunch of different ways that you can shoot cannons out. Bone collar, which is an insane throwable that you get, and you can now throw it on your ship to have skeletons help you. Or you can throw it on an enemy ship to have skeletons fight them. They just start spawning on their ship and fight against them. It's crazy. And then there's like a wind collar that creates wind, so you can use it in your sails. If you're going against the wind and you're like, dude, and this happens to my crew all the time, and we're like, damn, we're going against the wind. Well, now with the wind collar, just make your own wind. So all gravy with that one. And you can also put out fires with it and stop your fall with it. So if you have it on you and you're taking fall damage, right before you take fall damage, you can blow the ground and it'll soften your fall, which is pretty cool. And the craziest one, there's two. Another one, they're adding a grapple gun, which is interesting because they have grapple shots on your ships now, which happened a couple years ago, where you can grab loot and stuff like that. But now you can do that with your gun attached to you, and you can zip line onto these like taller peaks of like high mountains and stuff, which is incredible. And the craziest one is Captain Flameheart is coming back, which is an open world event that is a PvE event. Typically you would just fight these, claim its loot, and go turn it in. This one, however, is insane. It is a ship that is floating around the world. Anyone can go attack it. When you go attack it, you conquer it. So you get off of your ship and get on Captain Flameheart's burning blade and get on his ship. And instead of having 8 cannons, if I'm correct, I think it has 10 cannons on it. So you are now the captain of the burning blade. It also has the first ever ship to have things shooting out the front of it. So the captain of the ship can actually shoot forward, and you can shoot on the side, and it comes equipped with its own skeleton crew from Captain Flameheart himself. So if you're taking heavy damage, you now become the PvE event. So people around the seas will come to you to try and take over your Captain Flameheart ship, and so you have a skeleton crew that will help you repairs and fight and all this stuff. So you basically become raid boss of the server if you conquer this ship.
That's super cool.
And what so I'm super interested in this. Me and my crew are going to be on this, probably day 1. So super interested in this. I could not be more excited to play Sea of Thieves this year. These are season 13 and 14 updates respectively. So not all of these are coming right now. They will be coming in the next few seasons. But over the course of this year, Sea of Thieves is going to get a massive overhaul.
That's very interesting. So is this like this feels kind of like almost like a pivot for them? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, not. I mean, this is the first time this has ever happened, but it does change up a lot of the meta. So, like for example, if you were to shoot like with the grapple gun, if you were to shoot out, and normally people board your ship, they shoot out on a cannon, and if you hit the top deck of another ship, you're on. If you miss, you miss. With a grapple gun, if you miss, you can turn around and grapple back onto it. So it's changing up the meta. I bet people that are good are going to be even better. So watch your booties out on the sea. No pun intended, but
Interesting. Okay, and that's coinciding with, I'm guessing, the PlayStation 5 launch, right? Because I know
Probably.
that they're coming to PlayStation.
I don't know if
5
that I know I don't know if that's the reason. I think they've been long-standing, like kind of like wanting to add these things, but I think
Sure.
it is going to kind of coincide with that, and it's going to be insane because, like I said, the good players are going to be even better. So these PlayStation people who have never played this game before are going to be in for an awakening. Hopefully, they get some safer seas experience before they hop into it with the big boys. Because I'm not even ready for the big boys, and I've been playing for a long time. So
interesting. Very
super excited
Sea of
about
Thieves
that.
continues to be an enigma to me, but every time people talk about it, I'm always like, man, this sounds like a very fascinating, not necessarily something that I feel like I would want to play long term, but it seems like a fascinating experiment in creating an environment that is somehow both extremely PvP, but also not in some ways, from what I understand
literally,
about it.
in my opinion, is the epitome of sandbox in gaming. You really do make your own fun. There is no advancements. There's nothing like that. And there's no other game that I've played that's like it, where you really do make your own fun. And they give you all the tools to do so.
I really need to play it at some point because I want to experience that. That sounds really cool.
To charter you through the seas your first time.
Okay, I'll let you know. Sometime in the near future, I will download it and try it because is it free now?
It's typically on Game Pass. I don't think it's free on Steam, but on Game Pass, I think it's typically on there. So we'd have to see. Okay. I'm not sure.
I'll have to look into that. But that was your Sea of Thieves update. You want to pepper in the Mario stuff, or you want to do something else?
Go ahead and go into one of your categories here because I know you got quite a bit of stuff.
Let's talk about the main namesake, or the first namesake, I guess, of this episode, which is the Riot MMO being canceled, but also kind of not really. It's more so just getting restarted. So this was very interesting and extremely sad for me. Basically, they came out and said, hey, we've been working, the game director came out and was like, hey, we've been working on the MMO that you guys, all know about. But things have not necessarily gone the way that we have wanted them to. And so I believe they said, I'm looking it up right now just to see if I can get the exact date. They basically said about a year or so ago, they kind of restarted development on it. Here's his tweets right here. So I will read the tweets for everybody. This is from Trindamir, right? Trindamir. Hey, we know many of you are hungry for news about the Riot Games MMO project, and we really appreciate your patience and the incredible support you've shown us so far. I'm writing to update you today on where we're at, and before anyone panics, yes, we are still working on the game. After a lot of reflection and discussion, we decided to reset the direction of the project some time ago. So it doesn't specify exactly how long it's been. This decision wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The initial vision just wasn't different enough from what you can play today. We don't believe you all want an MMO that you've played before with a Runeterra coat of paint. To truly do justice to the potential of Runeterra and to meet the incredibly high expectations of players around the world, we need to do something that feels like a significant evolution of the genre. This is a huge challenge, but one that our team of deeply passionate MMO players and game development veterans is incredibly motivated to pursue. With that, he basically then just goes on and starts saying like, hey, we've assigned this person to this, assigned this person to this, we brought on these people, so on and so forth. And then basically just says that since they've reset their development path, they will be going dark for a very long time, likely several years. And so basically all is to say, we are pretty far away from the Riot MMO, which sucks because if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said that thing's imminent. That thing's dropping 2 years max.
I would have agreed with you, but at the very least, now obviously this type of news sucks, but being kind of at least knowledgeable about the ins and outs of the industry like we are, and we're trying to inform you all, I gotta say, I respect the transparency because I fully agree with that, dude. When you were saying that, I was kind of getting like, yeah, that makes sense because they're right. The reason New World popped off for, I mean, only a few months, but it was because it was kind of different. It was basically RuneScape, but modernized. And so because like you had all these extra skills that you could do, and it was very new, and but it just, you know, lack of content kind of killed it. But in general, that's what we want. We want, if you're going to do an MMO, you got to do it different, because there, I mean, let's be real, every MMO out there is just a copy and paste of the other one before it.
Yeah, it's World of Warcraft with slightly extra steps. Sorry, I'm adjusting something like that.
You're good. So that, and that's exactly what it is. And so without a Runeterra paint a coat or coat of paint, I mean, I respect that. Obviously, it's gonna suck waiting another decade for this thing, but
yeah, I mean, we're gonna be waiting a hot minute for this thing. I think I do agree with everything you just said about not wanting to be a Runeterra coat of paint, but at the same time, I also do have to wonder what is the Runeterra spin on this, and why was it not in place before when they first started? I guess would be my deep dive questions that I would love for them to answer. They won't, obviously, but I would love to know
well, that's what they're saying. They don't want it to just be your classic MMO with Runeterra coated over it.
No. So I'm saying I'm interested in what is the thing that they are going to do.
Oh, gotcha.
To make it not feel like that. And why wasn't there a plan to try to differentiate themselves beforehand? Like when they set out to make the project in the first place, did they?
But that was like 5 or 6 years ago. So they probably 5 or 6 years ago were like, MMOs still sell. We could just make, because imagine if I just came to you for no reason other than just saying, hey, MMO is the thing. Wouldn't you like to do it, dude? If you told me there was a Pokemon MMO coming out, if it was just, hey, I could play WoW, but capture Pokemon, pretty much Pal World, but in an MMO style, sure, I would freak out because the coat of paint does matter to most people, but then the longevity matters in the uniqueness of it, and so it's a tough thing to balance. They probably 5 or 6 years ago were like, yeah, Runeterra, because I mean, you told me that, I'd be like, yeah, Runeterra, I want to live in that world.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, especially after watching Arcane, I'm like, yeah, I want to be in this world. It seems amazing. And then, but yeah, if you don't have a spin on it, they probably saw the forecast of like things like New World and Lost Ark. Well, Lost Ark's doing different in different countries, but in general, when things come out over here, it's like, yeah, this is the same game we played yesterday. So, or yesteryear, rather. So
that's fair. I do wonder what that difference is going to be.
I'm curious as well.
I can't even, you know, and obviously I'm not an MMO designer or even really think about that space a ton, but it does make me wonder, like, how do you become more than what Warcraft is when Warcraft kind of does almost everything, right? Like in some way, shape, or form, like Warcraft is a world that you can live in. How do you make the Runeterra MMO that plus more? That's I think why a really interesting question.
No, for sure, it is, and that's why I love when you got these creative minds doing slight innovation, because even just combining two random concepts typically results in such a brand new, beautiful thing. That, like, I love seeing the creatives at work. I mean, even like little things like Mario Maker and stuff like that. You're like, oh, how could you get better than this level? Because this level is perfect. And then someone's like, hey, guess what, effers? I made the best level. And you're like, whoa, where'd this come from? So if people, like, even just small things like integrated within the space, you can get something so unique out of it. So I don't know. I can't even imagine. So I would love to see it as well, what they come up with.
I think the last thing I'll say on it is I am a little worried, because you're kind of thinking about what you just said. 5-6 years ago, they were like, oh yeah, let's just do Runeterra MMO and like just a coat of paint and stuff.
Yeah.
And now they're saying let's pivot and try to do something different. And I do worry if it's going to be another several years, like if we're talking about another 5 years till this game's even close to showtime. I mean, in 5 years, the landscape's going to be different again. I don't know. I almost do wish that maybe they started with the Runeterra coat of paint, plus a little extra, like maybe not change the whole world, but plus a little bit extra. But almost start with Runeterra coat of paint and then built on that over the course of years. Because I do feel like if they're just going to be chasing a new thing, not necessarily like trend chasing, but if they're just going to always be like, oh, but like we've got to try something different now. We got to try something different now. that makes me feel like it's going to have a wobbly foundation. You know, like take Destiny, for example. Destiny didn't start out the gate running. You know, first year of Destiny 1 was okay. It wasn't amazing. But then, of course, over years and years and years and years, they got together, taking King and all that kind of stuff. And I almost feel like MMOs have to go through that. I can't remember the last MMO that launched that was like incredible at launch. They almost always took 1 to 2 years to kind of hit their stride and figure out what they were going to be. What was their niche going to be within that space?
Except for New World. I feel like New World was the inverse of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
New
that
World
had all
was-
that Amazon
was-
marketing money.
It was hot for 3 months, and then it fell off because there's really nothing to do after the end of the game. And now they're getting their legs in terms of content.
RuneScape.
No, RuneScape is more popular now than it's ever been.
I know, which is crazy to think about. Crazy to think about.
It hits a different spot that other MMOs can't fill.
Look, man, number go up. You know, it's a hell of a drug. That number go up, and your brain
It does have a unique way to fight bosses. It's a very old school, unique way to fight bosses that no other game captures anymore. So
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, that's about what we got on the Riot MMO. Anything else on that front?
no, I didn't even know about it. To be honest, I got clickbaited. I wrote that in the doc because I was like, "Oh, Riot MMO canceled?" ? I had no idea. Figured you'd elaborate on it.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
So to the layman, it's been canceled. Go to sleep and go into hibernation if you're looking forward to it. And we'll see you in about 9 years.
And God, please don't take that long. Please don't take that long. This is like the #1 project I've been looking forward to from Riot. And so it does hurt my heart. It does hurt my heart. I hope we see it before the end of the decade, but I doubt it.
We'll see.
All
Maybe
right,
with
next
AI,
up-
it'll help them get their act together.
Hey,
and, get moving.
AI, let's go. All right. Next up, we'll kind of do this is kind of a combo one. Multiversus is back. Multiversus is coming back April something I think, or maybe it was May. Now I have forgotten. Let me look it up. Multiversus.
If anyone here is a fan of the HP channel, you know that I have a love-hate relationship with this company or with this IP. So
coming back. Why are you not telling? May 28th, 2024 is when it's coming back.
I'm excited. I love this style of game. Obviously, you know me. I love my platform fighters. I love my Smash Bros. I love my Brawl Stars and my Brawlhallas and Multiverses. They're all very good. This was one of the best ones, so I am happy it's coming back. I'm a little disappointed at how they did it because it was like, hey, the game's out kind of in beta, and then I was like, yeah, well, I'm gonna go ahead and founder pack it, and I dropped the 100 bomb. It's a free game, by the way, free game. I chose to drop the 100 bomb on it because I was like, hey, I love this style of game, and guess what? I think they're doing something that could be better than Smash Bros. I know that's blasphemous to say, but I really believe that because I love the direction that they take it. They promoted pro play, and so I really loved it. That's why I dropped that 100. So technically, I've spent more money on that game, which is free, than I have on the Smash Bros. The latest Smash Bros. So
Ultimate, yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing. Is like it's so good, but what bothered me so much is the way that they unmarketed the game. Now, you never hear something like this, but they basically were like, hey, it's in beta. Instead of releasing it, we're just gonna not release it. They put it in people's heads the way that they tweeted about it, if I remember correctly, that the game was just canceled. And so I was like, wait a minute, where the hell does my $100 go?
Yeah.
And so it was very frustrating because obviously my $100 is more of a donation, if anything, because I got the Founders Pack because I believed in the game. I didn't have to spend that. So I didn't feel as bad about it, but I did feel bad considering it was $100. But
yes,
I was like, so, and they just kind of tweeted like, hey, sorry, it's gone. And so but then eventually over the course of the next year and next few months, they started to kind of be like, hey, we're going to retry it. And so I was like, retry what? I think it was just because they started to lose people. I don't know. But it took them 4 months to implement ranked. Like they kept saying ranked is coming, but 4, 5, 6 months after it came out, we never saw ranked. In a game like that, you need ranked because if not, You got a guy like me going against a brand new player. I'm going to crush them.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like me going against a pro player. They're going to crush me. So you need ranked so we can kind of, because like obviously people are like, ranked is where the tryhards are. It's like, yeah, but there's bronze tryhards and there's champion tryhards. And so the bronze people need to play with bronze people. So I would probably consider myself in those types of games probably a gold to plat player. I should not be playing against any professional players, but I was consistently playing against professional players. And I don't need that. So implement ranked. But I don't know why they canceled it in the first place. So
yeah, it was definitely weird when they're like, hey, we're taking it out of beta to go keep working on it. It was like, you already charged money for the packs and stuff, like all that. Like it was very, very odd unrollout of the game. Really kind of the first time I think we've ever really seen that happen at least in a massive game where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna like unlaunch and come back. Like the only other thing I can think of is like Final Fantasy 14 when they unlaunched the original Final Fantasy 14 and then we're like, all right, we're gonna remake that, and they came out with the better version.
Right.
But I am glad that it's coming back. I'm hoping that they did, based off the video that I watched, it does seem like they kind of listened to a lot of the things you were talking about with like ranked and having all that stuff implemented from the get-go. And so I'm hoping that this really comes out and makes a splash and does really well, because I agree. Hell, I would love watching you play this game. And so I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought even when I played it, I thought there was a lot of fun to be had. And so I'm excited. I'm super excited to have it back, and I'm excited to see what other characters they end up bringing in as well, because they have access to many characters. Absolutely.
I mean, the roster is large and in charge. I actually that's one of the things I really liked about it, because all the characters not only were this could just turn into the Multiverse podcast, because I did love that game, but the characters are so unique because they're not just, I mean, they all have similar abilities, like in Smash Bros, where you use the same. There's not a combo fighter, but you could even like kind of fine tune each character with like their perks in the beginning, kind of like a Call of Duty thing. You can customize your character to kind of fit your playstyle, and it was not too much to where it felt like you're throwing in items and it's becoming chaos. It was enough to be like, oh, I'm jumping a lot. I like aerial combat. I'm gonna do more damage in the air and then less damage on the ground. So there's like good little perks. I just love that system of that game. Like it's so good. So I'm glad to see it come back. I really hope they don't disrespect me and my money again, though.
I mean, they're saying it's coming out for realsies this time. Hopefully. No beta or anything. So if they go back on it again, I'm like, all right, so this game's just dead, right?
It probably still will be, though. I feel like the only people that play those types of games it's such a small group. Because like the thing is like your casual gamer is gonna play that and get stomped one time, one good ass whooping, and then never play again.
Yeah, but see, that's why they gotta have those. Remember when everyone, or not everyone, but a bunch of people made a big deal about how like if you go play Fortnite for the first couple matches, they feed you a bunch of bots basically, but they pretend that they're real players. I never really got the hate on that, because I'm like, yeah, give them a taste of what it feels like to be decent at the game. Or
yeah, I don't mind that. I more mind the people.
What do you mean?
The people that think that they gotta win, and then it's like, hey, you played against bots for your first 6 matches, homie. Calm down.
Hey, always a win, you know, bots or not.
but also the thing is well, the reason I think that stuff gets muddied, and we can go like a little subtopic here, because I have actually something to say about this. I saw this on a game theory thing a long time ago, and admittedly, the people who make Gears of War, it's Epic, right? Epic Games. Their studio admittedly made it to where people, their first few games that they played, they got a massive damage bonus in Gears of War, and that is wrong.
That is wrong. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Now, if you're gonna do the bot thing, do the bot thing, but don't affect other players' experience negatively just because you want your newbies to feel good. So I can only imagine all the times that I played Gears of War against new players, and I'm like, "There's no way he shotgunned me from that far." There isn't. I was right. Gamers, you are justified and vindicated.
Yeah, I definitely don't know about increasing bullet damage or anything like that. But yeah, throw in some bots, let them get a taste of the good stuff, you know, and then they'll be chasing that dragon for at least the next 10 hours. And so they could do something like that here, where it's like, hey, you know, let's not throw them against an actual player who understands the kit. Let's throw them against a couple of bots to start with. Just kind of let them get a handle on their characters. That way they're, not just getting beat down and then it's an immediate, all right, well, gonna uninstall that. Not gonna play that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a chance this can actually land pretty well. I think that,
I mean, it's got the IP behind it, and Warner Brothers. I mean, massive.
You've also got like obviously I know people love Smash Bros. Smash Bros is the game of this genre, right? Pretty much the only game of this genre in a lot of people's eyes. But I would say that this IP can match up a lot to Nintendo IP. Maybe not in like a complete sense, but I do think if you're talking about overall household, Batman's going to be in every household. Oh, I can play as Batman, cool. That sticks out as IP, right?
Yeah.
But also I think that it's coming out at a time where there's not really anything new happening with Smash Bros. It's not like a new Smash Bros. Is on the horizon. You know, there's no other games that are really doing much with this genre right now. I know Nickelodeon just had their All-Stars Brawl or whatever, but this is definitely going to stomp the hell out of that, especially since it's free. I don't know. I think there's enough good things going for this right now that I think it actually probably will land fairly well.
And one of the reasons that this kind of, besides gameplay, because it's got a lot of money behind it, but the All-Stars Brawl, the Nickelodeon one, the first one, I guess there's a second one technically out now. I don't know. Yeah, it's the same game essentially. Whatever. I already paid $40 for the first one and I was underwhelmed, so I'm not paying another $40 or whatever it is. But the reason that the first one would get crushed out by Multiversus is because Multiversus not only has a big budget behind it, but also they kind of gave some love to it, and by that I mean gave the characters freaking voices.
Yeah, voices. Yeah,
that, like, you can't, like, you know how boring a fighting game is without the grunts and stuff. It's quiet. You don't think about, when you're creating a game, all the little nuanced noises you got to create, but you do, because if you don't, your fighting is just. And for those of you listening to the podcast, that was me just waving my arms around. That is like, that's all it was, and it's so awkward sounding because there's no sound.
Yeah, you always underestimate how much the little things build out the whole experience, but when you're missing them, man, you notice them. You notice
for
them
sure.
Really,
and you know me, I'm a Harley Quinn main myself, and I love hearing my Mr. J. So there we go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you play this game again, and I'll definitely give it a try again as well. I was having fun playing as Shaggy back then, so I will definitely be giving it a try also.
For sure, that's awesome.
Let's go ahead and take the Mario Day news.
Oh, I lost you for a second. Oh, there we go. You're back. It just lagged for a second. Your phone lagged. Okay, so Mario Day announcements. So obviously, guys, we've skipped a couple weeks. Sorry about that. But over these past few weeks, we ran into a good old March 10th, which is otherwise known as Mario Day, because MAR 10 is Mario apparently, and that is in America Mario Day. So they like to drop a couple announcements. So a couple announcements we got, which is crazy for me, but I mean, we still got 2 years away. But April 3rd, 2026, a new, as we already knew was going to happen, Super Mario Bros. Movie. And I can't wait, because I absolutely adored the first one. I know it got some hate here and there, but overall, great movie, great callbacks and Easter eggs and stuff. That movie is a joy to watch if you are a fan of Mario, even in the, like, kind of in the sticks, because they have some kind of in the sticks references. You got to actually play Mario to know some of those. Then we got the May 23rd this year, the Thousand Year Door remake release date. So if you guys are into the Thousand Year Door, which is like one of the most popular Mario RPGs ever, which is why they remade it, May 23rd is your date there. And then June 27th is the Luigi's Mansion 2 remake. I don't know why specifically Luigi's Mansion 2 is like such a hype thing. I mean, I've never played it specifically, but like, is that one just the best one out of all of them? Like, people are making a lot of noise about this one.
I think it's just because it was trapped on the DS. That was a 3DS.
Oh, it was a DS only. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think people are just making a lot of hype about it because it's now accessible off of the DS.
Fair. That makes a lot more sense, because I was like so confused for a while. I'm like, is this just not a good one, or was it? Sorry, was this just the best one? But okay, so I did play 3, so I would be excited to see a remake of 2. 3 was very good. But I'm really excited for this 1,000-Year Door, at the very least, to see some of these speed runs, because I have never fully played this game all the way through. I played the first. I love Paper Mario, the original, but the 1,000-Year Door, I watch a lot of speed runs of that. Funny enough, so I'm excited to see this release, and Game Grumps, actually, that I watch a lot, they have one, that's one of my favorite playthroughs that they've ever done, so I would love to watch them redo it. So it's gonna bring back a lot of memories for me. And that's all I got from Mario. There were a couple other Mario Day things, but it was all small stuff. But these are the major Mario Day stuff.
Do you think we get that Zelda movie before this next Mario movie, or you think it's coming after that? Have they said anything about that?
They haven't said anything about it. So, and especially it being live action, I think that
probably after.
It's probably gonna be after, I would assume.
Yeah, if they haven't said anything about it yet, then yeah, probably.
Yeah, because if we were getting it next year, we would have damn near had a trailer or a teaser by now.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they've done casting or anything for that stuff. So yeah, probably.
No, because we would definitely hear about the casting. Because remember when we heard about Charles Martinet not being cast for Mario and Chris Pratt, etc. So yeah, we'll hear about it for sure.
All right, and then the final set of big topics we got is there's been a whole bunch of Bungie news, which, you know, this is because I am here. This is a half of the Bungie channel where we just talk about Bungie news and Destiny related topics. And so I'm just going to go through a couple of these quick ones. Basically, an article came out from IGN by Rebecca Valentine, where she had some inside sources. And she's been pretty spot on with her Bungie reporting in the past. And basically, we got these few things out of it, which is that the Marathon game director, I should say, stepped down pretty much immediately after we got shown the game, or stepped up, I guess, technically, because now he's an executive creative director at Bungie, and got replaced by the Valorant game director that they brought on around that same time. And so the game director the person who was originally the game director for Valorant moved over to Bungie right around May of last year. And it seems that basically since then, he has been in charge and been the game director for Marathon.
So what does that say to you? Does that, because to me immediately, I could be wrong here, but guide me here. Does this say that Marathon was not where they wanted it to be in the PvP realm, and so they hired a Valorant guy to be like, hey, we got to guide this a little bit better?
That's what I wonder, because so the original game director is Christopher Barrett. He's been at Bungie for a very long time. He's well known for a lot of different stuff. He's made a lot of the things that we've loved, different game modes and everything. And this kind of tells me that whatever system they were cooking up, they didn't think was going to be as marketable as, I mean, think of it this way. Valorant made tactical shooters insanely popular. Granted, I know CSGO exists, but a lot of that is the international audience, and a lot of that is older people. It wasn't a lot of younger generations. Not a lot of younger people are playing CS, you know, I guess now at this point, CS2. Valorant is that for younger people, you know, all Gen Z, Gen Alpha, all the younger people are playing Valorant. And so I think that they probably did bring that game director in because they want to veer the game towards a market that is going to help it blow up.
I think that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think that Bungie is realizing that their current millennial market is not going to be able to carry a lot of these games to where they would need to be, essentially. So people like you and me aren't going to be able to carry these games into where they want them to be, which is why Destiny's probably also going to go through a pretty big shakeup after Final Shape as well, to try to get more people to come in that aren't people like you and me.
I just hope that hiring someone from a different studio doesn't make the game feel like said studio that they're from, because I don't like the gunplay in Valorant. I'm in on Marathon solely not because I want an extraction genre, but solely because of Bungie, because Bungie knows how to shoot.
Yes.
They know how to make guns
100%.
feel good. They know how to make hit registration feel good. Ever since Halo 1, I've loved the way that they make games feel, and I'm carrying it through to Destiny 2, hoping into Marathon. So I really hope not a lot changes. I hope it's more of a tactical version that their vision that this guy's adding to it, and not, hey, it needs to be Valorant. Not that that's going to happen exactly, but you know what I mean.
So according to Rebecca Valentine, essentially what this means, because she does go into it a little bit, she essentially says that the insider she got her sources from says the game is changing from being customizable character based and is veering now towards becoming a hero shooter, where you are going to instead select a hero who has a set of skills, but obviously weapons and
I'm
everything.
kind of okay with
Apex.
that, because that's kind of even like the dark and darker route, right? Where it's like you choose a priest, so you're a healer, but you can have other weapons, but you are a healer, you're a class, and I don't mind that.
I don't know, man. I am getting a little, like, one of the things I love about Destiny is that my Guardian is my Guardian. My Guardian is not stapled off of another Guardian or anything like that.
Yeah, but your Guardian has the same abilities as my Guardian if we're both Warlocks.
Sure, but there's so many different levers you can pull on, say, a Warlock, that it always is going to feel like my character more so than me just picking the Warlock class and making 2 to 3 adjustments. You know, I'm making, in some instances, dozens of adjustments to a Warlock character.
Right, but that's where the weapons come in to make it feel a little bit more nuanced.
The weapons, the fragments, the aspects, like all that stuff that they have.
Yeah, but typically you and I are running the same fragments because there's some that just fit the build better. And I don't mean even meta builds. I mean anything. Like when you're like, oh, I want to do a burn build, you're not going to choose things that don't burn. You're going to choose things that burn.
Sure.
And there's only like 4 of those. So it's the illusion of choice. Let's be real, my friend.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of choice in it. I think there's a lot more choice than, say, I guess my concern is like looking at something like, say, Apex Legends, right? Or even Valorant, even looking at Valorant, right? Where it is like, sure, I'm playing Reyna in Valorant, and I can choose the different weapon that I want on that Reyna, but at the end of the day, my kit is still the same. I
think that's where it'll probably be more like the dark and darker type, where you have a certain set of abilities that your class kind of hones in on, and then all the stuff that you gather. Let's just say, I'm making this up totally, but like, let's say since it's an extraction shooter, you're collecting guns, you're collecting armor, you're collecting this and that. Sure. So let's say you collect a special grenade that can only, just like in Dark and Darker or things like it, you can have like this grenade only works on the, let's say I'm making it up, just a healer class, and so this one is like a healing grenade. So your alpha fraggers, who is going to get all the damage and do the super machine gun heavy stuff, they can't have this healing grenade because it's for the healing class only. So I could be absolutely missing the mark there, but I feel like if it's a class-based thing, they're gonna do it to where you feel unique and not stale. I would hope.
I hope so. That, I guess that's my fear, is when they say it's veering more towards a hero shooter, I immediately go to stuff like Valorant and Apex, which, while I do think that hero shooters and like even Overwatch, like I do feel like those can have fun gameplay loops to it. I always bounce off of those because it always just kind of feels like I'm not really playing as my character. And so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to introduce enough of that customization still to where I can feel like I'm playing my character, if that makes sense.
I think that at least this is where, if it doesn't go this way, then they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. But I think that this could be one of the first few times that we get with like, because hero shooter Overwatch, for example, is a hero shooter where I can play a character who heals but also does damage. So like I have a role of, I'm going to heal you with this button, and then this button does a little bit of damage to increase my healing, and then so I'm going back and forth. Like for example, Destiny is that they're kind of going towards that. You can play that support role as a warlock or whatever. Yes. So they're going towards that, but they never fulfilled that for me. Like if I play a bubble titan, I am technically a support. I'm giving you guys damage, I'm giving you guys a shield, I'm giving you guys an actual dome to hang out in to mitigate damage. Same thing with the Warlock. Well, hopefully this will maybe be something like that, where you kind of, hone in on that role based, because like that's what feels so good. Like I love being the guy at the end of the day. Like my teammates are in Overwatch, they're playing the shooter and they're being the guy, they're killing everybody, then I'm in the back just I'm healing you, I don't have to worry about damage because I'm gonna worry about keeping my damage alive. And shooters, a lot of times where they could make that mark, they miss the mark. Like I genuinely believe that in Destiny coming out with the healing assault rifles, they're not going to be used. Lumina's already not used for that function. It's only used for the damage function. If we can have it to where we had a bigger health pool in Destiny, maybe those assault rifles would be used. And I want more of that role-based gameplay. So hopefully with what you're saying, that's what this is, because I want to, extraction shooter where boys, where we drop in, I'm the support. That's my goal. I'm keeping you guys alive. Like I even have maybe a riot shield or something, or something, who knows?
Sure. That's fair. I think that you saying that sells me a little bit more on it, where role-based. I think role-based is a good way to put it. I'm fine with that. As long as I get to kind of retrofit that role to fit how I perceive that role.
Right.
I think that's what I'd be looking for. But yeah, so that's the insight on Marathon, and apparently Bungie is all in on Marathon, and like we have to make Marathon hit. Because it's gonna probably be a little bit until we get a new Destiny thing after Final Shape.
I hope that it hits, man.
I hope so too, man. I'm super excited for the Marathon. I hope Destiny doesn't take too much of a break, but it sounds like we're probably based on some stuff from this and some stuff from some leaks. It sounds like 2025 will probably not have a Destiny expansion. It'll probably just be more episodes, and then we're gonna come back in 2025, more episodes for Destiny, and then Marathon comes out 2026. Destiny comes out with a new expansion, kicking off the new saga. That is currently the scuttlebutt of what is probably going to end up happening, which I think is pretty good. I think as long as we get episodes in Destiny, I don't need the massive drop. I can take a year off from the massive drop and just kind of, play the episodes and be happy with that. A few more things from that article. Matter, which was Bungie's new IP, or a new IP that they were working on, has been canceled not once, but twice. Apparently got canceled in 2020, and then they tried to retrofit it into a different project, still kind of within the same vein, and then that got canceled apparently in 2023. So Matter is dead. If you've ever heard Matter mentioned in relation to Bungie, that IP is now apparently dead. Now, the other IP that they announced not too long ago, Gummy Bears, which is supposed to be a MOBA-esque game, is on ice until Marathon is completed. All hands are on deck for Marathon and Final Shape right now, so Gummy Bears has been put on ice.
That's how it should be.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I kind of said a similar thing to some of my friends where I'm like...
You don't need to put your eggs in several baskets.
Yeah, let's close out Destiny. Let's get that done. Let's get Marathon launched, and then we can kind of get back into getting some of the other IPs going as well. And then besides that, just Into the Light had a live stream. Into the Light is the content drop that they're going to be doing in April, which is going to be bringing a new game mode called Onslaught, which is going to be a horde mode, 50 waves, and it's going to bring a whole bunch of weapons and stuff. They're going to be doing some more live streams on it, so I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But looks pretty neat. Nice little holdover until Final Shape,
I'm excited. I feel like Destiny is kind of overdue for content like that, right?
I mean, yeah, people have been asking for a horde mode basically since the game first came out.
Yeah,
and then Prison of Elders came out, and then everyone's like, that's not it.
Exactly. Make it wave-based and make it, whether there's like clan scores you can get or like, speed runs or something like, I mean, even little like nuanced, like achievable commendations and goals to, hold you over for this time, because like I mean imagine like, oh, it's a 50 wave thing, get to the end and you get something, get to the end flawless and you get another thing. Like I mean that type of stuff always adds fun to that. So horde mode is always good to have in your game where you're kind of living in that game. I mean, you're living in Destiny, you play Destiny every day, why not have something where it's like, yeah, you want to do a couple rounds, couple waves,
yeah, just kind of turn brain off, shoot gun, basically. Yeah, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think that'll be really good. They did mention that this is a new ritual activity, so it is not going away. It also makes me think, wait, ritual, does that mean this is not replacing Gambit necessarily, but is this joining that slew of activities. You know, is this going to be up at the top with the 3 Vanguard, Crucible, Gambit?
To be honest, I hope so, because let's be real. If you want to just hop on and like just play some Destiny, like I'm saying, obviously you get the boys on, you do a raid, right? You got the boys on, you do PvP, but you don't get the boys on to, hey man, you want to run regular strikes? No.
Yeah.
But you could do, because like once you've done the regular story missions, it's like there's nothing else to do either. So it's like, I guess we could run a raid. I guess we could do this, and that's what it always turns up into, right? I guess we could. Well, instead of doing that, now let's just say like there's a 50 wave to complete, and you want to do it while you're just chit chatting with the boys. So it's like, hey, we got 4 of us. You guys want to do a couple horde modes? Oh yeah, I think I could run to wave 50 before the end of the night. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that sounds way more interesting than like, you want to do Sepics for the 17th time today?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think this will be a great activity, and I think this is also going to be perfect for. We talked a little bit about new player experience. This is the best new player experience. It's just,
and they get to use their abilities and have fun with the sandbox.
Have fun with Destiny's guns, because that's the number one thing you're going to get hooked on, is with the guns and the abilities. So hop into here, do a bunch of that. My only hope is that my problem with many of Bungie's things is I hope they support it. I hope this isn't just, all right, we're doing this one drop and we're never doing anything with it again. There's so many things that they've done where
they have the numbers. If it gets played, it'll get its updates.
I hope so,
because that's how Gambit started. Gambit was so popular when it first dropped, and then they gave it so many updates, and then it just couldn't hold it over. So they just stopped updating it, and people stopped playing it. I mean, the numbers don't lie. People don't play Gambit. As cool as it is, they don't play it anymore. They did when it first came out because it was cool. It's so unique. But now no one gives a crap because there's nothing to do. There's no reason to play it.
I still play you Gambit. Don't you worry.
I mean, I think it's super interesting. I'm just saying the numbers don't lie. People don't really play it.
Yeah. And it's also it's got the same issue that so much of Destiny has, which is onboarding issues. It's complicated enough to where you drop a new player in there that doesn't understand Bungie's like design language. They're gonna be like, I have no clue. The Primeval's gonna die. They're gonna be like, I have no clue what the fuck just happened.
Right.
I just experienced 7 to 8 minutes of out of body experience, and I have no clue what just happened.
Right, and they're gonna be killing a bunch of like regular mobs, and then all of a sudden die to a player who's goated. And they're gonna be like, wait, why is there a person here?
Yeah, man, Gambit is like the biggest dumpster. Like, I love it. It's such great ideas, but like you put a new player in there that does not. Oh, I'm gonna try out this Gambit thing. Dumpster fire. Like it makes no sense.
Fully agree.
But yeah, that is all the Bungie news. And that's all we got on the big topics.
Yeah, I do have a couple things I wanted to see if you heard or seen anything about. One of the things is the Larian Studios of Baldur's Gate obviously said they were going to make DLC. They decided not to because they don't want to milk the franchise. They said they think that the franchise came to a close and they succeeded. So they're going to work on something they are more excited about. And I'm misquoting that a little bit, but I'm definitely paraphrasing that, but that's respectable to be like, hey, we're going to let our game ride as is. We are happy with it. And I love that because now obviously fans of the genre or the game probably want more, but for them to say that and admit like, hey, we're not going to milk this, even puts more on Larian Studios to be like, hey man, developers of the year or the decade, because you guys are killing it. And I'm excited to see what they're excited about.
I also think that reading the quote, I think a lot of it may be that they just kind of want to, they probably want a distance from Wizards of the Coast with a lot of the stuff they've been doing with the D&D IP, I should say. And so I'm sure that they're probably like, hey, we just made one of the best games ever. Let's go do it with our own IP or with something else. Like let's ride that wave.
Yeah, I actually saw a thing where they said this kind of ties into this, that they relinquished ownership of some of those characters.
Yes.
So like Astarion,
yep,
Astarion is now owned by Wizards.
Yep, which will be interesting because Wizards of the Coast has been making some decisions as of late that are kind of, gray area. So we'll see kind of how it goes. But at the end of the day, I think he's right. They set out to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish, and they clearly did an amazing job. So right off into the sunset, go work on the next thing. Especially if you're more excited about that next thing, go work on that next thing. That's
the kind of stuff that I get excited about, hearing devs be devs and be excited about their own projects instead of being like, how can we milk the crap out of this cash cow.
How can we make like 18 Baldur Gate products within like 3 years?
Right. So I'm glad, very happy.
I'm also glad. I'm glad you brought that up too. Some smaller topics.
Yep.
We'll just kind of breeze through these real quick. Helldivers did recently get a patch update a couple weeks ago. And one of the devs basically came out and said, hey, get good in a joking manner. And then they kind of expanded on it slightly more. But the community did not like that. And hell broke loose on a lot of their forums to where they had to shut down some stuff. And it's just kind of a reminder of, it's just a video game, guys. It ain't that serious.
Right.
But also, it's a reminder of, don't be so attached to, especially in live service games, don't get so attached to metas or builds or weapons. It's gonna change. Because the whole get good thing was about the railgun. That got nerfed. It didn't even get nerfed that bad, but people were going on about how the game was unplayable now because it was too hard because they nerfed the railgun. And I'm like, you guys need to try some new weapons. You guys need to try some new strats. But just a reminder, don't lean on that stuff too hard. It eventually always gets taken away. Next up, does Fjord know Nibble Giant Entertainment dev team? I ended up looking them up before. HP had brought up a game called Quantum League, which you say is one of your favorite shooters of all time.
Super unique, and I think that I would still be playing this game today. Now I would probably be playing it. It just has it's small. It's a 1v1 or a 2v2 situation. 4v4 would be almost impossible to play in it, but yeah. I mean, but the game was so unique. If you guys are unfamiliar, basically, it's a game where, in the quickest way possible to describe, is where it's like, imagine a 1v1 shooter that's round based, and each round your clones continue to play those rounds. And so you play one round out. If you win that round, you play round 2 alongside your own clone. So you can go kill, like, say you lost that round, you can use your second round character to go kill the first round NPC now, who is replaying that round. So then your first character does not die. There's so much more to it. I recommend looking it up if you are interested, but again, it is canceled, so you cannot play it. But it was such a unique take. Any dev team out there, revive something like this, because I love this game.
There was one more that did come out semi-recently called Lemnis Gate, which was the exact same thing, where round-based, I believe it was a 2v2, and yeah, you basically play the rounds out, and then those rounds continue. It is unfortunate, you know. I feel like this is such a cool genre idea, but it is just so... I feel like the real issue with this genre is, how do you even get players to start thinking in this way? You start thinking in
the future and the past.
Yeah, in different dimensions, essentially.
Yeah.
Of choices. Even for me, I played a lot of Lemnis Gate, and I walked away from it being like, I am terrible at this game, and there's no way I can wrap my head around getting better at this game. I think that was the thing that made me not come back. Is I said, I don't even know how to wrap my head around becoming better at this game. And I think that's a really hard onboarding for a player.
Yeah, so I think it very much sits in that space of, you better be good at this.
Yes.
And smart. And to be honest, I never felt smarter playing that game.
Yeah. Honestly, I did have some plays of Lemnis Gate where I felt pretty smart. And I don't know, I'd love to see one of these types of games stay around, because Lemnis Gate is gone as well. That's been canceled and turned off and everything. And so I would love to see one of these games take off. I just, what it is somebody has to figure out, how do we onboard player? Like, what is
you got to make it accessible.
Exactly. What is the path to make this accessible and make it so that players feel like, oh, this is something I can get better at. This is something that I can actually, put some time into.
That's fair.
Because I think that's the hardest part of it, because it's a pretty difficult genre. I do not envy any developer who decides to take up that challenge to try to make it accessible.
It's clearly by a dev team who loved their own concept, though, and so they are clearly also good gamers and very intelligent people. But I think that, yeah, it's too niche. It's definitely too niche because somebody's gonna get their brain warped by the strats that can happen in it, and they're just gonna be like, I have a headache, I'm going to bed. So
Yep.
but for me, that's the type of stuff that just gets my rocks off. I love like using my brain to just outwit another player, but also outskill them, because you have the complexity of the mechanical side of it, and then the complexity of the 4D chess aspect of it. So you have both working simultaneously. That's like all me. I love that. Outsmarting and outgunning. Come on.
I would love to see this in a MOBA Code of Paint. I would love to see something like this from a MOBA perspective. I think that could be a lot of fun. And I think in a way that would make it a lot more accessible, because it's top down. You're getting a better view of everything that's happening. And you're kind of going to be able to understand what your next move should be, essentially.
That hurts my head to even think about, because I mean, how would you do health? And that's interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, I do not envy anybody who tries to, a couple people now have tried to pick up the baton and run with it, and they all trip. They all trip with the baton. And so I do not envy anybody who decides they want to do that and want to revive that again. But I'll be there when they do. I'll be there and I'll try it out. And then the final small topic, Rooster Teeth, the massive mega content creation studio, I guess you could call them, is shutting down. Warner Brothers owns their owner, and their owner has decided to shut them down. This was very surprising news. I could have sworn Rooster Teeth would have rode off into the sunset forever, but apparently things have not been very hot for them lately. I haven't really consumed any of their content for probably close to 10 years.
Probably more than that for me. Like, I haven't watched since literal early Red versus Blue seasons.
Yeah.
And that's where they started. I, to be honest, couldn't care less about them. I think that this decision comes from that, just one of those like top-down executives who's like, hey, you're not getting the numbers, kid, close it down. And it's like, to me, because it's been 20 years or so, Rooster Teeth is just a group of guys who wanted to make a YouTube channel and made some funny content, and then it ended up blowing up into this massive success of a channel. And I feel like maybe they just got too big for their own good, I guess. I'm assuming that's what happened here. I don't
I did read an article about it that did some reporting on it, and apparently they have not been making money for basically the past 7 years, which is a long time to be operating in the red. And so I don't know. I guess it to me it signals the almost like a changing of the guard as far as like internet.
Yeah, we're definitely in an era switch up in content creation, I believe.
And I
actually
wonder,
feel like we're going backwards a little bit too in some spaces.
You think so?
Yeah, because I think a lot of because streaming about 5 or 6 years ago was like, hey, you got good production, you got a good camera, you got a good this and that. And to be honest, we've seen with like Sketch and Jinxie and Queso, with the rise of these people, that lighting, camera quality, audio quality, none of that really matters if you have a personality. And whereas 5 years ago, I feel like that stuff did matter, even if you had a personality. And so, and then 5 years before that, it didn't, because no one had a good camera, no one had good microphones. Sure, yeah. Now everybody can have a good microphone. It's like, are you funny? Are you entertaining? And so, and even with curated content like long form and stuff like that, with what Rooster Teeth does, now I don't watch their content, so I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing this off the top of my head from other experiences from other companies that do this. But like, people like highly produced stuff, but also there's like a less authentic feel to it. So that's why TikToks are so popular, because they're just straight up from your camera. Because TikToks that do worse objectively are the ones that are heavily produced. If they're not just from some person's phone, they actually do on average, they do worse. And so I think we are kind of going in a backward shift in content. Now, obviously the quality is better for just a phone than it was 10 years ago, but it's still, you don't have to have this big studio with 30 people, executive producers running around just to make a YouTube video. I mean, heck, me and Sirens, what we do, little plug, we literally just have her own little studio over here, and I'm her little manager just sitting on the side like, hey, battery looks low on the camera or whatever. Like, I just kind of do these little notes, but we don't have like 10 guys running around while we're losing money on it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that is true. I feel like that's probably a big part of it too, is Rooster Teeth probably just bloated too much.
Yeah.
Whereas like, do you really need 100 plus, 200 plus employees? I think they had 200 plus employees or something like that. If you included all their contractors, it's like, do you really need all that to make this?
Right.
The answer is like,
probably not.
Not really. Probably not.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting, the changing of the guard. I think you're right. We are kind of going backwards in a way to production value is now almost like an expected thing, and it comes almost so naturally because our phones like have such great cameras and microphones and all this kind of stuff that now, you can kind of go back to being more intimate
and solo produced and
like smaller community kind of stuff, like building off of that versus being something where you're trying to make
emulate
some mega
the Tonight Show and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're trying to emulate essentially TV at that point, or animation at that point.
Exactly.
Right? It's very interesting. I'm excited to see how things change up with that, with content creation over the next few years. Especially since like I keep on diving in and out of it and not really knowing what I'm doing with it. So
none of us do.
Yeah. And that's about all we got, unless you got anything else, HP.
No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, this has been your damage check. HP, where can the people find you? What are you doing? What do you want to plug?
Right now, I'm not doing anything, but I do want to plug my wife's channel, as always, because it is just booming with popularity. She's recently got a brand deal coming up. I can't speak on it too much, but she did have a brand deal. Reach out to her, so that's amazing. You can find her at X Sirens Sketches on Instagram. That's where she is going to upload her pictures of her art and stuff like that, personal art and stuff. And then obviously search YouTube Sirens Sketches. She will be now the first thing that comes up because she is consistently uploading one video a week. So that's where you can find her. You can find me in my content at Heretic Plays anywhere you type in things. And where can they find you, Ford?
You can find me as Fjord here on Twitch. You can also find me on Threads under that same name. And I think that's all I'm really doing right now. YouTube's been kind of slow, so don't bother going there right now. Eventually I'll kind of get that going again, but really I'm just going to be streaming Destiny, just random nights essentially over the next little while, as I work on some more of my projects, which I will be talking about soonish, maybe by summertime.
Definitely recommend going and checking out Ford. I'm not kidding, guys. If you play Destiny, go check him out. His clan, they are doing amazing things with the flawless runs, and it's super fun to watch. And they do them pretty damn quick. Third or fourth try on some of these. So go check him out. Super fun. Very interesting content to watch you guys ebb and flow through the game.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, Destiny is obviously my main game. And so if you guys are interested in any Destiny stuff, come on by.
All right.
Alrighty. And with that, we will chat with you all a little bit later. Bye, gamers.
Guys. See ya.
We did it. I'm going to let you go right away because I am in pain and I need to go to the bathroom. But I appreciate you, bud. I'll talk to you soon.